All right, haves and have not fans. What a series finale. Now, let me just say this much. I did both live streams. I did an Instagram live. I did a YouTube live. I've been tweeting literally since 8 o'clock when the episode came on. Even during the live streams, I was reading tweets, responding to tweets, looking through my inbox. There's just a lot going on. I'm actually recording this the night of the finale. It's 11 p.m. So I might actually get this up right now since I didn't wake anybody up when I was doing my live streams. I'm in the room, doors closed. I should be good doing this this video now, but I'll say that this finale, I don't know what to feel, you know? Like, I predicted damn near everything to a T. From my Instagram post to the freaking almost like 30 videos I did. I broke everything down in terms of how I thought it would happen, how things would go down. I mean, I think aside from maybe one or two little itty bitty details, I had everything right. And that's not to gloat. It's just the fact that the proof is in my tweets, the memes of videos I made, like Thanos snapping or Kevin Hart going, pew, pew, everybody going to die. Like, I called it, even down to my tweets where I would have the characters listed like here. I think Hannah's going to survive, but everybody else here, here, and here, they're just going to die. So I know a lot of people are feeling disappointed. They're feeling angry. I feel indifferent. My mom and I, let me just say up front, thank you, Tyler Perry, for creating the haves and the have-nots. Thank you to the stellar cast, past and present, you know, those who have come and gone from the show, those who were in the show up until the last episode, those who weren't introduced until like the last couple episodes. I'm glad to have you. Just thank you for giving us fans this show, because I will say it was a blessing not only to sit in the living room watching the first couple episodes with my mom the night that it debuted on the OWN network, and then sitting in the living room watching the final episode as it went off the OWN network. I asked my mom, I said, do you remember how we felt when we watched those first couple episodes? And you immediately called the cable, I think it's a Dish Network, to get OWN added to the package. And yet I'll never forget, even though it was like a couple hours ago, she's like, you know what, I'd rather flip to the Waltons and watch the Waltons right now, because the final episode left a lot to be desired. Like, my expectations were not high. I mean, after seeing how If Loving You Is Wrong ended a year or so ago, we all knew this was coming. We all knew this was coming. We knew not everything would get resolved. Characters wouldn't show up. Like I said, I made the post, I did the videos. I said, you know what? I don't think this, and that character will show up. There isn't enough time. We haven't really established enough in order to warrant them appearing in the finale. It isn't an extended episode. You know, it is what it is. But let me just say, I don't even know what to score it. I would say the way I feel about the episode is I feel like the first half was really good. Like, this was like I said with If Loving You Is Wrong, their final episode, I said it was a great season finale, but it wasn't a good series finale. With the haves and the have-nots, I just feel like the first half alone was gearing up for a good season finale. But then the last half, it felt like a Tyler Perry movie, you know, where when Tyler Perry starts off a movie good, but then there's a long stretch of nothing. And then at the very end, he's like, oh yeah, I need to wrap up everything. So he just allows stuff to happen during the last 5 minutes just to finish up the movie. And it feels completely rushed. And it just ends where it's like, okay, now what? What happened? We don't know. I felt the same way watching this. It's like we spent 3 or 4 minutes of Hannah having a freaking emotional mental breakdown, freaking turning into the Joker after she ran over Jim, instead of an epilogue. Like I tweeted out, I'm like, we could have had a great epilogue where Hannah, let's say she recites the Lord's Prayer. Let's just say Hannah recites the Lord's Prayer. It's the voiceover. And we got a lot of show instead of telling. Like, you know, we have the bomb squad recovering the bodies from the explosion at David's house. We have, you know, the different funerals, and, you know, people potentially being arrested. You know, Hannah discovering that her son is dead. What was her last line? Yeah, he won't hurt my kids anymore. And I'm like, well, Candace is dead, and you have yet to know that Benny's dead. You know, we find out what Vinny did to Mitch. We see Hannah finding out about Catherine and going to her grave and stuff like that, and embracing her new grandson, and you know, taking over the Crier estate, like seeing her cram sessions paying off, like she's doing meetings and, you know, talk with Marty, Don, and John, and she's actually competent. You know, that would have been better than what we got as an ending. Because to be honest, and I know I'm like 5 minutes into the video, it's like, well, Jeremy, it's like, where's the review? I'm getting to that. I just wanted to get these thoughts out of my, you know, head first. I just don't feel like this was worthy of a finale for the haves and the have-nots. Like, yes, I knew Veronica and Catherine did an interview before the first episode aired in June saying not everything's going to be resolved. And I told people, I told my mom, like, the way Tyler Perry is going to quote-unquote clean this up is by killing everyone off, because if everybody's dead, then there's nothing really to clean up. If Loving You Is Wrong had a better series finale, because the only characters who really were dead were Randall and Larry. Those two were dead. I mean, you could argue that, well, Larry may have been resuscitated, but no, his, you know, no, his line went, he's dead. Mandy was just knocked out. Ian had a pacemaker. We don't know how long Eddie had the taser on him, but that cop did find his body at the end, so it's possible he could have been resuscitated. And the argument of Eddie having a bulletproof vest on when Esperanza shot him 3 times, that could hold up. So in theory, if Loving You Is Wrong could be brought back to continue the story for a proper conclusion, the haves and the have-nots, you just killed off damn near everybody, so there's really no need of bringing it back. I don't think this did anything good at all. Like, I know I said that I would hate if Hannah killed Jim for the sake of a character assassination. You have this Christian woman going down this dark route. It definitely had like an acrimony kind of feel how things ended. It just didn't feel right with me. I mean, you have Bible toting, Christian quoting, or, you know, Christian Bible toting Hannah spitting scriptures and whatnot, and you have her murder somebody, and that's the end of the story. What kind of message is that, for real? So yeah, let me get into the formal review and then we'll go from there. So take a moment to hit the like button. Even if you hated the finale, please go ahead and hit the like button. Also hit subscribe to help me reach 200,000 subscribers. We're past 180 right now. Follow me on social media, links are in the description below, and hit the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out whenever I post to the channel. Don't worry, even though the show's off, we still got the reunion special. I have a lot to talk about in regards to the finale, and just because the haves and have-nots is over, you are aware I review other shows, right? Like The Oval and Sisters. So let's get into the actual review itself, starting with the beginning, where we pick up where we left off and Wyatt is not waking up. All right, so also, I'm sorry, I guess I should give it a score. I'm going to be honest here, not to sound like I'm lazy with the score like the writing was for the finale, but I would probably give this episode maybe like a 5 out of 10. I know most people would easily say, Jeremy, this is one of those episodes I would agree with you if you gave it like a 2 or a negative number, but I'll say like this episode truly did feel like it was getting good during the first half of the episode. It was really during the back half where it all kind of fell apart. I mean, it truly did feel like we were getting a solid finale from the pacing. The acting was on point for some of the characters. I'm not saying other characters were bad. It's just like you could tell this character was going to be killed off, so they didn't really need a lot of screen time to really depict. I mean, John Snyder's acting when he was reacting to Wyatt, Catherine during her death scene, and of course, you know, props to Crystal Fox, like from the moment she walked into Catherine's house and saw that blood on the stairs to going up and there was no music to the final scene. Like, even though I didn't like how the episode played out in certain parts, the acting, like the awards, like if I were to hand them out, it would probably be Crystal Fox #1, John Snyder #2, Catherine #3. Like, those were like the top performances of the episode. I did kind of, you know, feel a tender moment between Candace and Hannah when they were sitting on the stoop having their last conversation before Candace went off, but we had heard it so many times before throughout the series that it felt kind of meh. But anyway, let's get to the episode. So again, I give it a 5 out of 10. Trust and believe. I would give it lower, but I do feel like it did have a strong first half. So they're trying to wake up Wyatt. Leo and Madison are kind of switching between resuscitation because, they're both trying to get a pulse, but obviously cardiac arrest. I think that Madison says, hey, check his pockets, and then he's like, oh my gosh, because the pills of like, hey, if he mixed these pills, then they put him into cardiac arrest. And I love how Jim is like, well, wait, he was just fine. It's like, well, yeah, these pills have like a latent effect, just the fact that, they don't immediately put a person into cardiac arrest. It takes a little bit of time. And remember, there was a decent amount of time between, Wyatt at the loft versus Wyatt getting to Jim's house. But even still, with a latent effect, remember, this guy was mixing so many drugs. Wasn't he snorting coke, and then he was drinking? Wait, did I say coke or coke? Then he was drinking and everything, and then all of a sudden, no pulse. So Jim, good acting, but I was mad at him. Like, man, would you shut up? You're like, Leo, did you call the ambulance? And Leo's like, man, you're right beside me when I called 911. And he's like, where's the ambulance? I'm like, bro, you just called like 30 seconds. He just called 30 seconds ago. This isn't like Greenleaf when they were trying to call the ambulance for Bishop, when Lady May called them at the end of the penultimate episode, and then the beginning of the next episode, it took like 15 minutes to get there. But they tried, and there's no pulse. But Jeffrey stands up because, hey, I think I hear something, and he's like, where's the damn ambulance? Where is it? And it's like, bro, you can hear the sirens, they're coming. So David rushes outside. They all of the paramedics come in, and when I told my mom, yo, we starting off big. But then we go to the theme song and then commercial within like 90 seconds. I was like, wait, what? So then we come back, and with all the paramedics doing everything they can, from opening up the shirt, Madison's breaking it down what needs to be done because he's a nurse. They say like 1089. What the hell is 1089? He's dead. And Jim, they tried a defibrillator, and I thought about Veronica, the damn defibrillator. Nothing worked. Jeffrey, Madison, David, Leo, Jim, they're like, he didn't date Wyatt's dead. This should have happened years ago, but Wyatt Cryer is dead, folks. We start off the episode pretty big, just like I predicted. So after that, Jim leaves. He doesn't want to be bothered with David. He just gets in his car and drives off. And Jeffrey's sad about it. Him, Madison try to console Jeffrey, and they go back inside. And I got to give the episode props, because I told my mom they better not spend like 10 minutes of Madison trying to comfort Jeffrey, because Wyatt did mean a lot to him, but he died right in front of him too. First it was Justin, now it was Wyatt. Seriously, stay away from the Harringtons. You're going to end up dead. So Madison said he was going to the garage to get something for Jeffrey to make him feel better. We never see what that is. Like, first part of me was like, wait a minute. So we know Tanner's going to come in eventually with that bomb or whatever. So I thought the moment Madison left, Tanner would have showed up again, and then the bomb would have went off, and that would have explained, yeah, Madison might be alive, because Jeffrey's like, don't go outside, go through the kitchen or back room because it's quicker. I thought that was kind of like, a foreshadowing thing. It turns out it wasn't. Okay. All right. So we see Veronica getting the cash from the safe, and part of me was like, I wonder if she's going to look at her security cameras. I wonder if she's going to get a gun, just in case Marco tries to pull something funny. But that wasn't the case either. She just gets the money. She goes downstairs, and we, interestingly enough, get an outside shot, and we see Akil waiting in the car. Remember, there was a deal between Marco and Akil where, hey, tell her you killed me, you get paid. Then we both kill Veronica together, then I get paid, and then we're good to go. But he counts the money, makes sure he has what he was paid, and he pretty much warns her about enemies, the facts that there are enemies out there. It's like, oh, I have other connections. I mean, you have Jim Cryer and so many other people, and Veronica's like, I'm intrigued, tell me more. It's like, well, just know you should ask for forgiveness. Ask Mother Mary. Every time I kill someone, I ask for forgiveness. And Veronica kind of scoffs, because let's be real, Veronica prays to Veronica, and that's pretty much it. So Akil is pretty much shown the door, and he leaves, and we spend an interestingly amount of time at Veronica just kind of staring, like, is she considering what Marco was saying? Like, was she spooked? Was she shaken by it? Was there any kind of ramifications of, maybe I'll heed his warnings? Too bad we never get any follow-up on that. So we go over to Candace and Benny. They rush over to Hannah's place to ask if she's okay. Thankfully, her, Tanisha, and the baby were in the kitchen, so during the shooting they were not harmed. And before they come out, you know, Hannah's, you know, chewing it out, well, this is about that money. No, it's about Benny. I did this, I'll take the blame. It's kind of ironic that they go through so much crap that Benny's like, you know what, Mom, this is all me, I'm the one that did it. We're not talking about a broken window, well, you know, from like a baseball or something. We're talking about, oh no, Benny's like, yeah, you almost died, but this time it wasn't Candace, it was my oopsie. It was like, you know, I'm dating this girl, and, you know, oh wait, oh, I see how it is. So in any case, he pretty much pulls the way that Benny was acting reminded me of Jim when he was like, you know, talking down to his 2 sons by Celine. But thankfully, you know, she just, some people were tweeting me like, you know what, hey, I don't trust her, maybe this is a setup. But no, this girl is actually not a stripper or anything. She was having like a girls' night and kind of drunk, and one of her friends dared her to kiss Benny, and they went into the bathroom, and then they had sex because Benny began to remember what was going on. She's like, look, he's like, you know, I just came up and I ain't trying to give you nothing. It's like, no, I make 6 figures, I'm an attorney, I'm doing good, I just wanted you to know that you have a son. They agreed to have a DNA test done, and that was it. But you know, it was so cute to see him holding the baby and all, but it's like, well, I know he's going to die, so it doesn't matter. But in any case, the cops actually come by and they're trying to question things. Hannah's like, yo, I'm about to bounce, because whatever questions you have, you tell them. It's like, hey, Benny knows what's going on. Benny's like, wait, I don't know what went on, I don't know what's going on. And it's like, wait, well, we have to ask some questions. Well, ask them, I'm gone. Because Hannah's like, you know what, I ain't staying up in here. So Hannah leaves, and you know, apparently this whole thing between Benny and the girl was like 15 months ago. The baby's 6 months old, and Candy's like, look, she got the receipts, it's yours. So from there, they just talk, which was a nice scene, and Candace decides to go to the Malone bar to see Mitch, and even Benny's like, yeah, I don't think you should do that. Candace is like, no, I'm going to do it, don't worry about it. So we have a touching Candace and Hannah scene, but like I said towards the beginning of the video, while this was a great scene, we've just seen it too many times before. I mean, Hannah was once again talking about the fact that give the money back. I mean, you reap what you sow, and you keep living this life, something's going to happen to you. And what Candace say? When it happens, I'll be ready for it. Oh yeah, she certainly was ready, all right. But in any case, and again, I don't want to like, this was a great acted scene. I mean, you can never deny the chemistry between Tinka and Crystal Fox when they're acting together as mother and daughter. But yet again, we heard the reap what you sow, and Candace pretty much saying, I can't give back the money, I want to do better, I want to be better, but I just got to do what I got to do. And Hannah's pretty much like, well, just go on, do what you got to do, which is her going over to the Malone bar, which was a big mistake, as we'll see soon enough. And you know, when she leaves, Hannah's like praying to God to just watch over everybody. So yet we have another scene that really doesn't get follow-up. You know, the same cop comes up and is like, hey, I got some questions, but Hannah's like, well, I told you I got to go somewhere. Hey, look, it won't take long, I just have to know, like, you know, whose house is this? Oh, it's my boss's house. How long have you lived here? A few months. And I'm thinking, Hannah, stop lying. It has not been a few months. Somebody, I think on the live stream, was trying to tell me 2 years have passed or something, which isn't true, because just because Tiana, look, I'm sorry, I forget her name. She just showed up last week, the one with the baby. She said it was like 15 months and yada yada. Guys, this was prior to episode 1. This was a character who was never introduced before last week. So her giving a timeline on when the baby was born, that has nothing to do with episode 1. We just know that this character appeared prior to episode 1. Okay? Just wanted to let you know. Alright, so again, I thought there'd be some follow-up with the cops questioning Hannah, but there wasn't. So from there, Catherine's in jail, of course, calling Marty. And she's still mad about the whole having a cellmate. She's not supposed to have one. She even goes so far as to say that, you know, are you working with Jim to get the money? And Marty's like, you know, that's not true. I'm coming down right now. Some people are like, wait, didn't Catherine fire Marty? Yeah, but he said, give me one more day to talk to this judge and I'll see about getting you out. And yeah, you know, he still hasn't gotten back to that because, like he said, his hands are tied. So Marty is clean. You know, like Don and John are the ones who want to get power of attorney away from Hannah. Marty's like, look, I'm working for Catherine Cryer just like you. I'm doing what she says, and she gave power of attorney to the maid, Hannah. So you can do what you want. It's not going to end up good. So please, I have nothing to do with it. I did feel bad Catherine was getting down his throat when he's the only one trying to get Catherine out of jail. Well, he's the only one trying to get Catherine out of jail without some kind of, you know, ulterior motive. He's just trying to do his job. Just like how, you know, Candace tries to jump down Mitch's throat, but I'll get to that soon enough. So she actually calls Hannah, and, you know, she's like, Hannah, it's good to hear a friendly voice. And Hannah, you know, Catherine's like, you know, I'm in jail. Nothing's happening. It's just, I've just been sitting around doing nothing, which is true. I mean, Catherine's been locked up for what, 2 seasons now? Pretty much just sitting around doing nothing ever since, you know, Wyatt shot at her and Jim and George arrested her. That has been it. You know, she went from having threesomes and being drunk and ignoring all of Jim's pleas to do something. But no. So Hannah just breaks it down. Hey, you know, I know you're going through a lot, but we just had a drive-by shooting right now. And Catherine's like, oh my gosh. So she's like, don't worry about the house. Insurance will cover it. You know, she thinks Jim did it. I mean, Hannah did too, but thankfully, you know, Benny cleared that up quick. And from there, he's like, yeah, well, it's just something I could see him doing anyway. But from, you know, Hannah said, hey, I'll stop by the house. I need to get some paperwork for a meeting I have with some of your guys in the morning. And hopefully I don't run into your husband because I'm just not in the mood. I don't want to deal with him. And, you know, Catherine's like, well, hey, Hannah, you know, just be careful. And then from there, you know, she mentions the cellmate, and then Hannah's like, whoa, wait, you need to be careful too. So she even says, you know, hey, after I'm finished, I'll come down and see you. And Catherine's like, yeah, that'll be nice. I need to see a friendly face. So it looks like, you know, Marty and Hannah would be coming down to visit Catherine. Would be. Okay. So from there, we go over to Sandy just busting through the door at Rihanna's place. And I called it. I freaking called it. I did the posting video about a day and a half ago, or was it today? Yeah. And I said, Benny going to his new house makes no sense. I feel like Rihanna is probably going to be in a position where she has to call Benny to set things up because maybe Sandy threatens her mother. Sandy did say, you know what's going to happen if you don't do it right, if you don't call him and just say, hey, tell him I beat you up or whatever. And Rihanna's like, well, he doesn't know me like that. And she even tries to give a fake address for the new house, but Sandy's like, no, you're coming with me. So she calls, and Benny's like, hey, what, you missed me that much already? I'm thinking to myself, Benny, you just found out you have a son. What are you doing chasing after this girl right now? But you could argue, some people are like, well, yeah, if Benny didn't go, he wouldn't have died. That's debatable because based on the Malones and their aggressiveness in this episode and competence for once, Benny would have bit it, but he just wouldn't have bit it right then and there. So you know, hell, even Sandy slaps her beforehand when she tries to lie to him. But in any case, you know, Sandy makes Rihanna go with him over to Benny's new house. And then we go over to the jail, and Catherine's in the cell, doesn't want to talk with Diamond. You know, Diamond just says, oh, I know you rich and powerful people think you're all that, living in the castle while all of us little folks are down here. And then she says, oh, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to beat your ass. And Catherine's like, well, you better bring it. And then Diamond brings up the fact like, oh, you don't even remember me, huh? Little Lizzie? Who? Yeah, the one your son killed? Oh, I get it now. I wasn't sitting here to beat you up. I was sitting here to kill you. And it's funny how Catherine went from, yeah, you better bring it all if you want to beat me, to, wait a minute now, let's calm down. But no, Diamond actually gets into the scuffle, pins her down. I thought at first she would like strangle her. I mean, technically she did, but out of nowhere she kind of like tied a rope around her neck and basically was choking out Catherine, and she died. And I have to say, this was the most gripping moment of the episode. This death was the only one I felt something for because of how, you know, brutal it was, and the fact that the other people in the jail cells around, they just kind of crossed their arms and looked the other direction because, you know, they're in jail. So hey, don't see nothing, don't know nothing, don't tell nothing. So, you know, like I said in my video, I think Catherine's going to die, not just be beaten up, because Diamond was probably hired to rough her up. But when she discovered her last name was Cryer, she put two and two together and figured, hey, this is the mother whose son killed my niece and tried to cover it up. So pretty much, you know, the moment that Catherine found out that, wait a minute, Lil Lizzie, wait a minute, wait, let's calm down. Nope, dead. Also, stunt double here. My mom and I were talking about it. Like, 1 minute, Catherine is like 3 feet shorter than Diamond. The next moment, when they started fighting, the stunt double is damn near as tall as Diamond. But no, I mean, we saw Renee Lawless being choked out. Like, that wasn't a stunt double during that scene, and I feel like that's what made it even sadder. So, folks, first it was the son, now it was the mother. Catherine Cryer is dead, and like I said, that was the only death that made me feel something during the episode. Sure, I didn't feel bad for Wyatt's death, mainly because it's been coming for years, but John Snyder's acting during that scene made me feel something. But the Catherine death was definitely the most brutal. And I know some people, myself included, was like, wait a minute, where did she get a rope from? Somebody was telling me on the live stream that it seemed the rope was kind of like her belt, kind of wrapped around her. I mean, it looked to me like she was pulling it out of her sleeve, you know, her shirt or whatever. But remember, this was an arranged arrest, so her having the rope, I'll let it slide due to Jim's connection. So, you know, I'm not going to be too much, well, I was going to say I wasn't going to be hung up too much over it, but I feel like that was inappropriate given how Catherine died. So yeah, not a good joke. But in any case, Catherine was dead, and I'm like, damn, that's pretty rough. So then we move over to the most uninspired death of the episode, and that was Veronica walking out of her house, being gunned down by a masked Marco and Akil, and they run off. Now, there is a huge debate going on right now amongst the fan base as to whether or not that was Veronica. Now, I told my mom, I'm like, wait, that must be a stunt double, because the woman coming out of the house had a darker, not dark, but like a darker chocolate complexion compared to Veronica. So I was just like, yep, just like in the scene with Catherine and Diamond, it was the stunt double getting shot down and falling over. People are like, it's Laura, it has to be Laura. Guys, from the Veronica walk to the red bottom heels to the hairstyle, that was not Veronica. I mean, excuse me, that was not Laura taking Veronica's place. That was Veronica. Now, I know it could be like, well, Jeremy, didn't you say it looked like Marco's words hit Veronica and it was late at night and Laura could have been going home from her shift or something? That's all true. But the fact that they were killing off so many characters, that was supposed to be Veronica. Now, regardless, she deserved a better death than that. That was just awful. That was the most uninspired death of the episode. I feel like what made this episode really bad is the fact that it really didn't give you enough time to let these deaths impact you. It's like, as soon as one person died, another 4 people got killed off, and nothing really happened to the point where I had time to feel any remorse for the characters. Like I said, the Catherine death, they spent enough time on that. Veronica just got shot down and that was it. This is the Ice Queen. She deserved way more than that. And like I said, you can have the argument about if that's Laura or not. No, that was supposed to be Veronica. Obviously the stunt double. Heck, I haven't done it yet, but I'll definitely look at the end credits of the episode, because it will say Veronica stunt double or Laura stunt double. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a Veronica stunt double. Alright, so Candace goes to the bar, and Mitch is like, look, you shouldn't be here. You need to leave. Vinny comes up and pretty much says, yeah, listen to her, you need to go. Candace is trying to get Mitch to explain whether or not he knew about the shooting that took place at Hannah's house, and Mitch is like, I couldn't do anything about it. And what made me mad was like when Catherine was getting on Marty, because it's like, look, Marty's like the only person trying to help you, and I'm like, Mitch has stuck his neck out so many times for you and your brother that you're going to give him crap about this. This has nothing to do with Mitch. He tried to help as Vin. This is like the Malones that I've wanted them to keep up their image. Like, for so long, the Malones have been watered down versions of themselves. This episode really made it feel like the Malones are the legitimate threat that they are, that they were made out to be when Tyler Perry first introduced them in season 1. But Vinny just goes down the pecking order. The fact that Mitch doesn't want to be a Malone, the fact that he's the one in charge now, and Candace tries to stand her ground like, well, Mama Rose owes me a favor, and Mama Rose doesn't roll like that. And it's like, you got a lot of nerve, but this is how things are going now. This is how things are going now. It's a new day. And, once again, Catherine's like, well, my mom was almost killed, a casualty. And she's trying to plead for, the hit on Benny to be gone, but it has to do with the fact that he attacked he attacked Sandy, and his nephew was embarrassed and he has to handle it. It's like, at this point, Sandy's the only one to stop this, and he's not going to stop. So from there, Mitch tries to stand up, but Vinny's like, if you stand up, you're going to lose your legs, and that means break them or whatever. So in any case, it gets to the point where Candace is like, well, where is he? I want to talk to him. But then, Vinny's like, you know what? You're in a perfect place right now, because we're going to deliver you to Jim Cryer. And I thought it was because Jim hired the Malones to do so. But no, it's like, Jim has done so much for the family, and you've taken so much of his money. We're going to give him over. We're going to give you over to him. So some people are like, wait a minute, Jeremy, why is Vinny doing this? He was talking down to Jim and David, and the Malones don't like Jim right now. But after finding out Mitch lied to Jim about the family protecting the young family, it's kind of a respect thing. It's like, what, Jim is still a valuable resource to us, and you just played us, Mitch, so we're going to do a gesture of good faith and give Candace over to Jim. And that's exactly what happens. So when they start to grab Candace, Mitch tries to get up, and the dude fights Vinny for a little while, because I thought, oh snap, some fans were predicting it, where Mitch is going to kill Vinny, take over the family, but he actually gets a couple punches in, but then gets knocked down and held down himself, and his fate is unknown. But I think it's safe to say that Mitch is probably dead, because of the fact that not only did he get up losing his legs, but the fact that he attacked the Don is probably something that is greater than him lying to the Jim about the family protection. So it would not surprise me if Mitch is killed off screen. Seriously. He attacked Vinny directly, so it sounded like he was even crying and whatnot. So Mitch's fate is unknown, but I'm pretty sure it's not good. Alright, so Benny goes over to his house. Rihanna's there, and she's like, I'm sorry for this. And then Sandy comes out of the back with the gun. Benny's like, hey, let's settle this like men. So he puts the gun down, surprisingly, and I thought they were about to fight. I honestly thought there was a fight that was about to break out, but instead it was two, but then another guy. So it was three guys who came out of the back, and Benny's like, whoa, 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 gentlemen. And then he gets shot, like, he ended up with more holes than a piece of Swiss cheese. Like, Benny was gunned down. The Malones leave. Rihanna's crying. Benny Young is dead. Then we go over to the next scene, guys. Leo tells Jeffrey, hey, I know it's a bad time, but Tanner's back. Oh, let him in. Tanner comes in and gives him the box, and Jeffrey doesn't want it. It's a bad time, but just listening to the dialogue, I'm pretty surprised Jeffrey didn't put two and two together that Tanner isn't here on a goodwill mission. He's like, you know what, you put a spell on my brother. It's like, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's like you just brought something out of him, and I'm kind of curious myself, and wow, I'd love to live like this. And Jeffrey's like, well, it's not all cracked up to be, basically meaning that the life of a have is not that great. Not to mention Pearl looks pretty well off, so I don't know what he means by that. It's like there was a lot of double talk. My brother really cared about you. You're my last link to my brother, and are you coming to the service? No, your mother. Oh yeah, you're right. So yeah, well, I'll see you around. And then he just leaves, and then Madison comes back, and I'm thinking, so did Madison come back with whatever he was going to give Jeffrey, or what? So David comes downstairs and then says, hey, I'm going to check on Jim. He shouldn't be alone right now. And then we got an outdoor shot of Tanner walking away from the house. But then when David is away from the couch, we see Jeffrey opening the box, and he's looking in a curious fashion. And then David is kind of in the doorway of, like the back area where the kitchen is to where the couch was. And then Tanner lifts his hand and hits the detonator, and the explosions go all throughout the house. So it seems like, you know, it wasn't just a living room, but the explosion had a blast radius that went through like other rooms on the first floor. David's fate is left up to question. I think without a doubt, Jeffrey and Madison are dead. They were right there at the box when it blew up. I don't know about Leo. I mean, if Leo was standing directly at the door, I think it's safe to say he's dead. David, it's like, look, he was standing right next to Erica's car when it blew up, and he was thrown across the yard and lived. So he wasn't standing directly next to the box when it went off. So it's debatable if David is alive or dead. I will say that. It's debatable. I'd say Leo could possibly be alive, you know, because again, David got blown across the yard. So Leo and David could possibly be dead, but Madison and Jeffrey are definitely dead. So we got another potential 2 to 4 casualties right there. Let's see. Okay, last page of notes. We're almost done. Alright, so Sandy goes over. Oh, sorry about the squeaking. It's the chair. Sandy goes over to Catherine's house. You know, Jim is just sitting there sad, drinking, just taking it all in, the fact that his son's dead. And we get a surprise visit. Sandy and a couple of the Malone guys deliver Candace. Got a delivery. I gotta admit, Sandy was a pretty much a badass in this episode. Yeah, I know it was a punk move to, you know, go up to Benny, but then have, you know, 3 guys show up and shoot him down. But Sandy was on point. You know, he wasn't a whiny Malone. It was pretty interesting to watch. But in any case, Candace has been roughed up, and, you know, she even pleads with Jim saying, hey, I'll give you the money. Yeah, it was Wyatt's inheritance, but too late. He's dead. So they drag, you know, like I predicted, Jim goes up the stairs and the 2 Malone goons drag Candace behind him. He's like, Candy Cane, how does it feel? You're dead yet. Your body just doesn't know it yet, but you're getting there soon. And, you know, Sandy's downstairs, and when they drag her to the bathroom, you know, it's like, hey, I already have a tub full ready and waiting for you. So I guess the Malones must have contacted Jim beforehand. That way he drew the bath, and, you know, once she's dumped in the water, he tells the Malones they can leave, and he then proceeds to drown her, you know, pretty much hearkening back to this is where it all started. I guess it was a reference to, you know, the one time he thought that Candace was the reason for Amanda overdosing, and they had to fight in the apartment, and they even bust through the shower, and it only stopped, like, you know, Jim was choking Candace. It only stopped when he saw the pregnancy test and thought it was hers. But in any case, he drowned. She's done. Now, I'm not going to lie. You could argue that she just lost consciousness. I know a lot of people were screaming, where's Charles? Where's Secret Service? Weren't they supposed to be keeping an eye on Candace and this and that? But no. Candace is dead. So Hannah comes into the house, you know, she's there to get the paperwork. I think Catherine said it's on her nightstand or something. And she notices the drop of blood. And this is when the episode gets really creepy. She follows the blood up the stairs, and the music stops. There's no music. Hannah's just walking down the hallway, following the blood drops, notices Jim sitting by the tub, and who's that in there? Come see for yourself. And Jim's just taunting her, and she goes up, sees that it's Candace, embraces her dead daughter's body, and she's just full of emotion. And Jim is just rubbing in, my son's dead, Hannah. My daughter's dead. Now you know how it feels, Hannah. Now you know how it feels. And if you watch the video I posted, probably one of my favorite have and have not videos I ever did earlier yesterday about the whole, the devil versus the angel. Hannah kills Jim. The showdown begins, folks. Now my mom, when she was seeing Hannah walk down the hallway, she's like, you know what? Hannah's going to throw Jim over that balcony. And I was thinking, oh, like Jeffrey did to Veronica. But no, they fight. And I mean, they fight. Now, the whole time I'm thinking, my mom and I joked about it. It's like, okay, so Hannah could kick Veronica's ass to the ground. Somebody who's taller than her. And you could argue physically stronger. But then again, Hannah does manual labor longer. So, you know, it depends. But In any case, Jim has one arm tied behind his back. Technically, it's in a sling, but you know what I'm saying here. And at first, Hannah was getting some licks in. It was really a back and forth, and it looked like Jim was winning, from the point of, I thought they were going over the balcony, but they go down the stairs. Like, they both fall down the first flight together, and then Jim, like, proceeds to, like, kick Hannah down the stairs, and I was like, yo, that gotta hurt. So Hannah is, like, rolling down the stairs, and Jim comes down after her and just starts kicking her over and over, and she even tries to go to the door. She gets some nut shots in, goes for his ankles, and she's trying to open the door to escape, and Jim grabs her. It really reminds me of when Charles was dragging Helen at the beginning of Diary of a Mad Black Woman out of the house, kind of like that. Hannah manages to escape to her car, but Jim is relentless from busting open. I think Hannah, like, throws a plant at him, and Jim breaks open the window when she has the car locked and everything. She drives off, and he's hanging on for dear life. This man will not go. They're both going for broke. They have nothing to lose at this point. And eventually Hannah's able to get Jim to let go, and he rolls, on the ground, and he's like, wait, I got something for you. I'm coming back. I'm thinking, like, Hannah's not coming back, but I thought Hannah would just drive off and then settle this another way. But no, she turns the car around. Jim is, struggling to even stand up. And she proceeds to, I wouldn't say run him over, but she hits him with the car. He hits the windshield and rolls off, and you hear him groan. So it's debatable that Jim could still be alive. And we see the blood on the windshield. That's possibly to indicate, yeah, he's dead. And then Hannah's like, you won't hurt my children anymore. And I'm thinking, yeah, well, you don't know your son's dead. And Hannah proceeds to have, like, an emotional extra sense. She turns into the Joker. It's like a mixture of, my daughter's dead, I just killed a man. So she's laughing and crying hysterically, and then the credits roll, and I think it even said, like, thank you for watching the Haves and the Have-Nots 196 episodes. Guys, this was not a great finale. No, like I said before, there was way too much death, like, back to back to back. Like, it really didn't let you feel anything. It's like the moment you're still in awe over a character dying, they just move on to the next one. Like, the way they handle, what was it, Erica, Melissa, and Oscar, those deaths were, like, intense because they were kind of spread out. But, like I said before, you have half the episode, which felt like a decent finale or episode in general, but I was kind of looking at the clock the entire time, like, okay, we're at the 30-minute mark, but where are all these deaths? When are they supposed to come in? Because you knew the back half of the episode would just be padded down with death after death after death. So I think the most disrespected character was obviously Veronica. Just the fact that her death was just her simply being gunned down, and everybody else, like, if I were to say which characters would potentially be alive, Candace could possibly just be unconscious. Jim could still be alive barely. David could have been out of blast radius, and Veronica could have had Laura go out there instead of her, wearing her exact same clothes, outfit, hairstyle, and walk. But yeah, the show's over. This is it. Like, this was written in such a way that Tyler Perry's like, you know what, it's not coming back. No spin-offs, no reboots, no movie. It's done. And to be honest, with an episode like this, it could stay gone. Like, ready to move on with something else. But to be honest, I think that there was just so much wasted, so many episodes and seasons. Like, what was the point of introducing the Charles storyline at all? Even Hannah didn't even know Candace was pregnant. I was waiting the entire time for, Candace to tell Hannah when they were sitting on the stoop, but no. And I mean, like I said at the beginning, a brief epilogue. We spent like 5 minutes of Hannah having a breakdown instead of finding out what happened to the characters. It's like, people are like, well, Hannah's in charge of the estate now. She's rich. What does it matter? Both her children are dead. At this point, she only has a grandson who, honestly, through a DNA test, needs to be proven to be your grandson. But other than that, everybody is dead. She doesn't even know Catherine's dead. She doesn't know Benny's dead. She was only crying over the corpse of her dead daughter. And I mean, I don't feel bad for Candace. I just felt like her death was uninspired. The fact that you had her pretty much at Jim's mercy the entire time, despite the fact that these two characters were the ones who started the franchise's drama. You know, it just felt like Candace's entire character and death was being a catalyst for the final showdown between the angel and the devil. So it's like Hannah got the last laugh maniacally when it should have been either Jim or Candace standing on the top. So yeah, I mean, this episode was kind of all over the place. It's like it went to a lot of locations, a lot of stuff happened. It's pretty much a hamster on the wheel. You know, you put out a lot of energy, but nothing, you didn't really get anywhere. It's like, I think I said this before, the episode, it went a lot of places, but it didn't go anywhere at the same time. Like I said, the first half I thought was great episode, but then the back half was just like a video game, like, you know, Call of Duty, where everybody getting shot. It just didn't hit home. But like I said, I still got other videos to do, like other theories and breakdowns and things like that. Of course, the reunion's coming up, which is a 2-week event, but I know that a lot of people are not going to be pleased, especially with Candace not getting the happy ending, not even seeing Charles. Like, seriously, why say the Secret Service is watching Candace's every move, yet you don't follow her to a criminal bar or to the man's house who she has millions of dollars from? So, I mean, this episode really showed that things have gone too far. Like, there's no turning back from even giving back the money. You know, Jim was at, I mean, if David was around, then possibly he could have calmed Jim down, maybe, or spoken reason to him. But at this point, Jim had nothing to lose. Yeah, to hell with the 2 sons you had by Celine. I guess with Jim dead, I don't know if Akil will get the money for killing Veronica unless him and Marco stop by prior to the Malone stopping by with Candace, which possibly could have happened. I don't know. Yeah, but that's really all I have to say. This was I just feel like a lot of people are saying the same thing based on if Loving You is wrong and the haves and have-nots on how these shows ended. Is it really worth getting invested or staying invested in Sisters and The Oval or any other Tyler Perry show that's like an extended drama? Because if it ends like this, where it's not a good ending, it's like we wasted almost a decade on this show for this. It didn't deliver. But that's just my opinion. So do you agree with my score of a 5 out of 10? Feel free to let me know your thoughts below. If you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. But like I said before, thank you to Tyler Perry and the cast and crew. Thank you to the fans for helping, you know, me do this for a living by talking about this show. Thank the Lord I decided to do other shows, because this wasn't, it's been a journey, but I will say it had a lot of rough patches. So, you know, arguably this could be a dream, but I honestly think this was written in Tyler Perry movie fashion, where there's a decent amount of build up, a long stretch of nothing, and then a rushed finale. So this was not a happy ending at all for anybody. Seriously, Hannah's rich, but at what cost, guys? At what cost? Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and I'll talk to you on the next video.